Dean Arnold.
All right. Slightly bumpy start at the beginning of that, but I'm starting to get the hang of it. I think we're okay. Welcome to the Dean Arnold Podcast. It is July 8th, and we got things to talk about today. Should be fun. There's the normal chatter out there about this, that, and the other. We're at war with Iran. No, we're not. We're at peace with Iran. But we're going to go to war with Iran. No, we're not. We're at peace with Iran. It's one of those things. Anyway, we could talk about that, but it would be very confusing and kind of, tax our brains. But anyway, we're not at war with Ukraine. We are at war with Ukraine. No, we're about to end war with Ukraine. Anyway, it's July 8th. I'm bringing sanity to an insane world. I'm running for Congress. Dean Arnold for Congress. Vote for me in November. Go to my website and give, deanarnoldforcongress.com. And share, subscribe, like, comments and questions. Very much welcome and appreciated. Today, we're going to talk about getting some land off the grid. Getting off the grid, finding some land. It is a primal desire of man. I've done it. I've been there. I got a story to tell. And then I've got advice for all you men out there who are thinking about it, which I read this tweet the other day that there's like five things that all men want to do or think about doing. And one of them is going out and getting some land, living off the grid. So that's just, it's a thing. And I don't think women quite understand it. I mean, there's some women who do and who love the idea, but just in terms of why all men are thinking that, I don't think the women quite get it. It's okay. So we're going to talk about that. But first, of course, we're going to talk about the scripture of the day and the Christian hero of the day. So here we are. 1 Corinthians 2. It's a very interesting passage. I like it a lot. I don't claim to understand it. But as it is written, what no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor heart of man conceived, what God has prepared for those who love him. But God has revealed them to us through his Spirit. For the Spirit searches all things, yes, the deep things of God. For what man knows the things of man except the spirit of the man which is in him? Even so, no one knows the things of God except the Spirit of God. And we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God. Okay. Well, first of all, let's just talk about this. This is all very profound. And this whole thing about no one knows what's in a man except the spirit of the man himself. As you get to know people, you realize this. There's deep things going inside the heart of a human being that you really don't know until you really get to know them and things start to creep out. And even then, maybe you don't know them that well. And according to, I think, Orthodox theology, or maybe it's in the Bible somewhere, a person doesn't even know himself. I mean, we don't even know ourselves fully. We are a mystery unto ourselves. So this same concept of not really knowing what's in a man unless you know the spirit of the man, it's the same thing with God. We just can't know God unless we have the Spirit of God. And God is very, very, very complex and mysterious, and we just don't know him. And if we get a glimpse of him, we're blessed. And if you have the Spirit of God, you got a chance. That's what he says. Verse 12, now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God. Now let's go down a little bit. 14, but the natural man does not receive the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him, nor can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he who is spiritual judges all things. So the natural man, the man who does not have Jesus Christ living in his heart, who does not have the Spirit of God having touched and quickened him, he just can't know the whole spiritual dimension. He can't know really what's going on the planet. So if you got a natural carnal man who is not connected to Jesus Christ, he does not know what's going on in the planet. Are you getting your news from him? Are you taking your paycheck from him? I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm just saying these broad things where we just assume, well, it's okay. This guy's not a Christian, but I don't care. We've got a lot of money. Or they're on the TV every day and I need somebody to talk to me. You really need to think about it here, because the natural man, the carnal man, does not know what's going on. He is not in the loop. You want to be hanging out with somebody who's in the loop, who has the Spirit of God, who is informed as to what is happening in the universe. Hard scriptures, but important scriptures. Because there's people out there, you can talk to them, do apologetics, and give them the best arguments you can possibly have. They are not going to come around if the Spirit of God is not working on them. So, Lord willing, we'll be able to do that. Okay, let's go on to the gospel today, Matthew 13. Another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all the seeds, in other words, the smallest. But when it is grown, it is greater than the herbs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches. And he gives the same example with leaven. Just put a little bit of leaven in a lump of bread, and suddenly the whole lump becomes big and tall and yeasty and fluffy. But the idea here is that just a little teeny little bit can turn into something great big. Little teeny bit of teaching. Jesus later says to the disciples, he says, so don't get into the leaven of the Pharisees. I'm not sure what he meant exactly by their leaven. There's the militaristic aspect of their leaven. There's the legalistic, unforgiving, angry part of their leaven. But I just want to say that I think the takeaway here for me, amongst others, I have to refill my lighter, is that we should be confident and happy with the little teeny starts we make, because just that little teeny bit can turn into something big. The tyrants know that. I mean, it's a great example is right now Donald Trump just going bat something crazy over Thomas Massie. Okay, there's 535 members of Congress that all vote with Trump whenever he wants something done, like bombing Iran. And then there's one guy, Thomas Massie in rural Kentucky, who says, no, I am not going to go along with that. It's not right. And Trump is crazy. All he can talk about is Thomas Massie, and he runs around and finds all his Zionist friends that put $25 million into the primary to defeat this one little guy. Well, why is that? Because Christ's words are true, that just one little mustard seed, if it's allowed to grow and doesn't get stomped early on, can turn into a big tree. And so the work that I'm doing here, I don't know, what do I got? 3 viewers, 5 viewers? Maybe I got as many as 500,000. I have no idea right now. But it's a little seed. And Lord willing, it can grow into something big. And whatever it is you're doing from the heart with the love of the Lord, even if it's teeny tiny and only one person knows about it or no one knows about it at this point, it can turn into a significant thing if the little seed is allowed to grow. So that's pretty cool. All right. Scripture of the day. Now let's do the saint of the day. The saint of the day, a little different. I had a couple of choices, and I decided to go with this one. Got to bring it up. Holy monastic martyrs Epictetus and Astian at Halmaris. And there are a couple of guys who go into the priesthood. They have gift of wonder working. They heal people. They see if I can get through this story here. Oh, this is related to our topic of the day because they were living in in the empire, and they just decided they wanted to get away from it all. And so they decided they were going to go to a place called Halmyrus. This is in the year 273. Since Christians were being persecuted in Bithynia, he asked Saint Epictetus if they might travel together to some distant land where they could dedicate their lives completely to God. Yeah, that's it. That's the dream. That's what's in every man's heart. Let's find some land and get off the grid. So that's what they did. But sure enough, their miracles caught up with them, and people were coming to them for help and being delivered of evil spirits. And Epictetus once healed a 15-year-old deaf and dumb boy by praying and breathing on him 3 times. So he had all this going on. And of course, this led to them being accused of sorcery and being persecuted for not sacrificing to the Roman gods. They were tortured in an effort to make them abandon their Christian beliefs. After 30 days in prison without food and water, the holy martyrs Epictetus and Astian were brought before the commander. They were proclaimed traitors and ordered to be tortured and beheaded. So they received the crown of martyrdom on July 8th, which is today. So we're celebrating it. The year 290. Christianity became legal in 312, 313. They were buried in an unknown spot. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Later, their holy relics were transferred into the basilica built in the 4th century by St. Constantine the Great at Halmyrus. Archaeologists discovered the holy relics of St. Epictetus and Astian at Halmyrus in 2001. The bones were scattered about in 2 rooms of a burial crypt, indicating that the tomb had been vandalized, perhaps in the 6th century. Scientific tests on the bones revealed that one of the men was approximately 64 years old and the other about 35. This is consistent with the ages of the 2 saints as given in the written accounts of their martyrdom. We didn't read that part earlier on, but it talked about the first one being 46 and the second one being 18 or something like that. The bones also indicate that the 2 had been beheaded. So don't get this too much in the saint stories on the Christian calendar, but here we got, a little bit of archaeology, a little bit of scientific investigation to see if the story is true. And sure enough, the story checked out. So that's pretty interesting. Epictetus and Astian. They were reburied in 2001 by Archbishop Theodosius of Tomis. That's Romania. That's probably neither here nor there. All right, let's come on back up. Okay, so we've done the scriptures of the day, done the saint of the day, the Christian hero, actually 2 of them. Now let's talk about the topic of the day, which is getting some land off the grid, which I've already said is a kind of a primal desire of man. He wants to get away from it all and just focus on, growing some food and a family and maybe a few guns. I'm not sure how that fits into the vision. That can get a little complex. A privy, not a sewer. That's probably more healthy. And this comes up a lot, and I did it. So I guess now I'll go ahead and tell you my story. I felt the need for this. I think it was it during during Biden? Maybe it was. Yeah, I guess it was when right after COVID. No, I think it was before COVID. Man, I got to get my numbers together. So I guess whenever it was, there was this feeling of dread that it's all going to go down the tubes, and we need to find some land and be ready when it all goes to hell. Prepare for the apocalypse. And I'm not against that. I've done stories on prepping or podcasts on prepping. I've done podcasts on a positive future versus a negative future. I think we can have a positive future view that ultimately things are going to continue while also having a short-term negative view. There's going to be a day of reckoning, all sorts of problems right now. So finding some land, getting off the grid so that when the power goes down, you're not trapped and completely vulnerable. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not against it. And if you can pull it off, I suggest you try and do it. If you can't pull it off, don't try. That's a waste of time. I was able to pull it off in part when I tried about 10 years ago because didn't have any debt. I had plenty of time, and I was, I had my house in order to give it a shot. I was able to acquire like 35 acres with a partner over in Sequatchie County, Flat Mountain. Um, anyway, uh, and that was all good. I didn't have my house in order in that I can't grow a darn thing. And so I've never had a garden. I've never been successful. I tried my own backyard a while back and failed miserably. I worked on it for like 3 months. And at the end of the 3 months, all I had to show for it was like a little teeny carrot about this big, one carrot that big. So if you're going to do it, you probably need to have your house in order. I know some young guys are thinking about doing it right now. Not sure they got their own house in order just yet. Are you debt free? Can you pay the bills? Can you grow a garden? Do you know anything about cattle and goats and pigs and chickens? Probably know a little. I don't know a little something. Yeah, you want to run out there cold turkey and do it? That's fine too. Anyway, I found me some land in Sequatchie County, 35 acres. I was rocking and rolling. So pretty excited about it. My partners, Dan and Drew, you guys out there, shout out. They had the money. I had the money. We financed the land. It had a nice creek on it, actually 2 or 3 creeks, but a couple of them didn't run part of the year. But there was one creek that ran the entire year. I mean, I was excited, man. I had me a creek. If the water goes down, I got me a water source. Then I started fiddling around with solar power, had some success with that. I think I could have pulled that part off. So that was coming along. Things were moving well. But then what happened was we had to pay like $500 a month on the land for 10 years or something, 5 years. And that was fine because both of us had put up a significant investment piece and we had some left in order to finance that. But then we're getting into the stage where pretty soon we're going to have to actually pony up real money every month to keep the land. So that was going to be difficult. And my partners, they showed up like in the first month. I put the cattle call out there and we're in. Here's a $30,000 check or whatever it was. And wow, that worked well. Nice. Well, I just figured the investors would keep coming. We wanted about 10 investors. No one ever showed up after that. We had a couple of strong bites after that, not much interest, and just never got anybody after that. So the first getting somebody so quick was kind of like fool's gold for me. It's like, okay, this is going to be easy. Well, it wasn't easy. So we're getting into having to start paying that monthly note. And then the thing that really messed me up, which is why I ended up selling it, was the land right near where you pull up to the entryway. Everywhere you poked into the ground, about six inches to a foot in, it was bedrock because it's on a mountain. It's like, okay, well, I'll just have to keep running around the 35 acres and find me some deep soil. Guess what? No deep soil on the entire thing. I poked every part of that 35 acres and there was bedrock everywhere. I couldn't believe it. Can't have a privy, can't have a cemetery, can't have a deep garden. It's going to be a little bit tricky when you're building a foundation to a house. Maybe actually helpful though. But anyway, with the bedrock everywhere, I was like, I'm done with this. So I sold it. I sold it for a 25% profit. So that was good. Probably could have gotten about 100% profit if I was, aggressive. Just didn't feel like it. But it was able to sell it, make a profit. So I didn't lose my shirt, but I didn't pull off the dream. Okay, that's my saga. Uh, and so now I'm back in a regular house in suburbia. And if all goes to hell in the apocalypse, I'm not going to have a permanent water source. I'm not going to have a place to get away to so they can't grab me up. I'm not going to have various things that would be advantageous if you had your own property. It's okay. I mean, it is what it is. But should you do that? Yeah, I think you should if you can, if you're in a position to do so. Find a piece of property with a well or a creek, and begin to work on it. I had to drive an hour to this property in Sequatchie County, so that wasn't fantastic either, but I was willing to do it, and I did it for about a year. Drove back and forth. This property that I had, I bought it from an Amish guy, and the whole property was like surrounded by Amish and Mennonites. I mean, it was prepper utopia. I loved it. I hated having to give it up. So now let's talk about it. I'm going to now weave into Donald Trump talks about doing the weave. I'm going to weave into my Peru Amazon experience. Which was interesting. I didn't share this during the Peru Amazon podcast because it's a little bit of a downer. You know, you got the whole exciting romantic notion of going to untouched tribes up in upper Amazon, and that's exciting, bringing them the gospel in their tongue for the first time. What I didn't share with you is this. They all wear Western clothes, like a Michael Jordan jersey, LeBron James, Nike. And Dave, who's been to all kind of tribes everywhere, says he's never been to one where they didn't wear Western clothes. So no grass skirts, no strange jock straps made out of, corn leaves or something. Western clothes. So Western clothes, probably made in China, have reached the entire planet. Indigenous clothing is really not a thing almost anymore. The second thing I didn't tell you, we went to about 10 or 15 little tribes, little villages. Only one, I think, but they may have had it and I didn't see it. Only one did not have solar electricity and internet from Starlink. So the third world is almost no longer. So wherever you go, you got the grid and you got the internet. That made an impression on me. And I had to think about it. I mean, I love the idea of getting off the grid. I've read a lot of Wendell Berry. I got actually a couple of letters from Wendell Berry, handwritten. He and I corresponded a little bit. If you don't know who he is, he's arguably, many think he's like the greatest man of letters or author, writer in this century in America. Lives in Kentucky, rural Kentucky, probably near Thomas Massey. Seventh generation farmer, and he loves the land, and he talks about, he's an environmentalist and a Christian, and he he's so into it that he doesn't use a tractor. He uses horses to plow his land. I mean, he's a wild man. But I love Wendell Berry, and I love the vision that he's putting out there. Probably not the most practical vision, and he's probably willing to say that as well. But he's doing what he feels like he needs to do, and I'm so glad he does what he does. But I read the Wendell Berry and the whole romantic notion of it all. But ain't nobody living off the grid hardly. Not even if you go to the upper Amazon. They got Starlink. So the world is changing. And it made me have to step back a little philosophically and just think, okay, how do I respond to this? Well, I think we just have to deal with what we have to deal with in front of us, no matter where we are. Are you out in the middle of nowhere? Then do what you can, farm, grow some things, and be a alternative for your friends in the city who need a place to go. Okay, great. You living in the heart of the city? Then do the best you can as a city dweller, interacting with people down in the city and loving them and helping them as best you can. Are you in the suburbs? Then, make sure your cable TV and your antenna works well and your Wi-Fi is going okay, and try to reach people with good messages like I'm doing right here. Love your neighbor where you are, where you can, how you can. Because there's probably not an ideal utopia out there somewhere that's going to be different, that's going to cause you to act different. Be a Christian now, love your neighbor now, seek first the kingdom now, take risks now. This has been going on for a long time. Thoreau, Henry David Thoreau wrote the book on Walden Pond in the late 1800s, 1870 or something. That was his whole thing, getting out of the way, off the grid. That was in upper state New York. So he's leaving the city of New York and he's going up to Walden Pond in the middle of nowhere to get away from it all. And he's got this whole thing about it. Everybody loved it because all these men have this primal need to get out in the middle of nowhere and start to live life because now they're off the grid. There's something to it. There's a few people that are pulling it off, not many. Those of you that are hearing this, Brad Bleasdale, he's doing it. Good for him. And, if it all gets bad, I might have to drive up to Brad's house and, eat some goat milk, drink some goat milk. Some people are doing it, and I'm excited for them, and I appreciate it. A lot of people can't, but I have done it. I've got stories to tell. It didn't quite work out for me, but that's okay. And we'll see where it's all going. Meanwhile, live and love where you can, make a difference where you can, run for Congress if you can, and see what you might be able to do in the short term while also preparing for the long term, which is what my prepping podcast was all about. Okay. Today's June 8th. I'm running for Congress. Vote for me. Donate at DeanArnoldForCongress.com. I'm bringing sanity to an insane world. Yes, a lot of way people are wanting to respond to the insane world by getting some land off the grid. Hey, I understand. Makes sense. So we talked about it today. Share, subscribe. Any comments? I think we got a comment or two. That's exciting. Let's pull it up. There is no war in Ba Sing Se. All right, what the heck does that even mean? Let me bring it up so I can see a little more. This is Caleb Paisios. So this guy's Orthodox. He's hearkening unto St. Paisios. There is no war in Ba Sing Se. I guess he's hearkening into my sarcasm at the beginning of this podcast that kind of, we are at war with Oceania. We are not at war with Oceania. 1984 stuff. But there is no war in Ba Sing Se. So he's got another country he's talking about, and I have no idea what Ba Sing Se is. But thank you, Caleb. Keep them coming. All right. Kev Beasley. Does a golf course count as off the grid? Obviously I'd have to say no. No, it does not. But there are elements of being on a golf course that match with getting off the grid, which is probably why so many men are addicted to golf and love golf and are drawn to golf. You're out in the elements. You're away from the grid and the craziness, unless you've got some moron, playing his YouTube speaker cell phone on the golf cart, playing the music, which as you well know, is becoming more and more common. But if that's not happening and you're out in the elements, there's no electricity anywhere, it's greens and it's fairways and it's trees, there's a sense of getting away from it. And I think that matches the whole sense of getting off the grid. And I think that's why men are drawn to it, just like they're drawn to getting off the grid. So, yeah, there's some parallels, but it's not going to help you eat and have fresh water and being able to flush the commode if everything goes to hell. So there are probably better things you could do than golf to prepare for that. But if it doesn't happen, you're the one laughing all the way to the bank. I got a friend, actually, a good friend, who will now tell you he's been a prepper all his life. He's spent hundreds of thousands on prepper homes. And he's got a lot of precious metals, and he really knows his stuff. And he will tell you now. I got a refill. He will tell you now that he made a mistake, that he's done this for all these decades and he's got nothing to show for it because it never went to hell in a handbasket, and it may not. So there's that. I mean, you gotta allow for that. That could be the case. Okay, thank you for the comments. This is good. We're gonna get out of here because we've gone 30 minutes and
Dean Arnold.